I'm Roxanne Patel Shepalavi. I am co-executive director of the Philadelphia Citizen.
Yeah.
Those are my fans.
And I'm Larry Platt, the co-founder of the Citizen. About 6 of you, yeah. So, like any great event, let's begin with a little bit of copyright infringement. I want to give you a sense of why we're here and the genesis of why we're here. A couple years ago, just to paint the word picture for you, I was at home one night on the sofa eating Fruity Pebbles and watching...
That's not true.
Yeah, and watching the ESPYs. And as you may know, the ESPYs is not just awarding athletic accomplishment. It's also awarding athletes who go above and beyond on civic matters. And I thought, this is what Philadelphia needs. We need an ESPYs of civic engagement. Came in the next day, said to Roxanne, we need an ESPYs of civic engagement. And she said, what the hell is the ESPYs? So,
It's kind of true.
So, and it aligns with the mission of the Citizen. As many of you know, we're a nonprofit, nonpartisan media organization that's dedicated to reinvigorating democracy in the American city where it was born. And you know, part of our aha moment on this thing was that no one talks about the planes that land safely, right? That's not news. And we decided that there are plenty of intractable problems in Philadelphia, but there are people who deserve attention, who are trying to fix those problems every day in Philadelphia. They are, and they're the people we're honoring tonight, they are landing those planes every day in our city. And so tonight, together, we're going to honor people who stick the landing. That is that is the mission of the Citizen, and that is our mission tonight and going forward. Hopefully, this is just the first annual ESPYs of civic engagement.
If you could get the words out, yes. So first of all, I want to thank everybody in this room for being here, and I want you all to take a look at people's lapels, because there's a lot of really good flair in the room. So well done on the branding, whoever has that. I wanted to just throw a couple shout outs out there. So I want to shout out all of our sponsors led by FS Investment and Penn Medicine. I would love to, and everybody who bought a table and everybody who bought a seat and found their seat in this big room. I would love to shout out the Fittler Club, this beautiful space. They are great partners for us. And when you see the people here, just take a minute to thank some of the people who are working really hard here. Shout out to DJ Six back there, who in addition to spinning tunes throughout the night, will also play snippets of the walk-up songs for each of our honorees that they mostly picked, except for a couple places where we picked them. A Novel Idea is outside. They are a small local bookstore. They're actually my local bookstore, so please frequent them. They are out there selling some of the banned books that are featured on Ali Velshi's Banned Book Club on MSNBC. So in about an hour, we're going to be calling up some friends to award our honorees. But first, we are going to hear from the aforementioned Ali Velshi, an MSNBC host and also a Citizen board member. And he's going to talk to actor and activist George Takei, the celebrity in the room who's over here, who is, yes, who is an actor and activist. I think everybody knows who he is. And both of them speak and live and write really beautifully about citizenship, and they're going to talk about the importance of local citizenship. We have Mr. Takei's book outside also for you to buy if you're interested after he speaks. And we are excited to announce that we are also going to host Ali's book launch here at the at the Fitler Club on May 7th. So we hope to see all of you in the room for that too. And Ali, of course, will be here.
Smartest bald man on television, Ali Velshi. And I'm friends with Smirkanish.
Raise your hand if you've heard Larry tell that joke before. So thank you all for being here. Enjoy your meals. You can eat while all this is happening, and we'll see you in a little bit.
Please welcome to the stage Ali Velshi and George Takei.
That never gets old. Thank you, everybody, for being here tonight. It's amazing to look out at this crowd. It was never going to be a problem when once George agreed to join us. But as Larry and Roxanne were saying, this is an organization that is focused on civic engagement. And if you're going to go through the list of people who are identified today with civic engagement, it will not take you long to get to George Takei. So we invited George to come, and he was so gracious. George, it is like my dad just can't believe it that I sit and actually talk to George Takei. He thinks that's the craziest thing in the entire world. By the way, the book, which we're going to talk about, you should get. It's amazing. And you should get it soon because you've got another book coming out in April. So that'll be fantastic. George, I want to talk to you about the moment in which we exist. By the way, I want to say hi to Brad. Brad, thank you for bringing Brad Takei. I want to talk to you about the moment in which we exist because you've had a few spins around the sun and times have been interesting in America, but we're in this place where when you walk into an event like this and you see people you haven't seen for a few months, they all kind of give a look like, well, this world is crazy. It feels out of control. It feels out of reach. It feels like the problems that we are confronting are bigger than any of us. And in moments like that, you can get overwhelmed, you can get a little depressed, or you can retreat to civic engagement. You can retreat to the things that you might be able to have an influence upon and move. And that's where you've lived for about the past 20 years, longer really, but you've really been a very, very well-known activist, and you try and move the things you can move. Tell me where you are in this crazy world that we're in.
Well, when I was 5 years old, this world went crazy. We're Americans. My grandparents came to the United States from Japan in the 1890s. They went into farming in the Sacramento Delta. My mother was born there. My father was born in Japan, but he lost his mother when he was a child, and he and his father and his older brother, or his father, my grandfather, decided to start life anew and came with his two boys to San Francisco. So my father was born in Japan, but he grew up and he was reared in San Francisco, went to school, went to college, and started a business in San Francisco. And so we were Americans, but with one explosive event, our world went upside down. Well, throughout the world went upside down. The Second World War began. But my parents were reluctant to go outside and walk to the grocery store because if they were caught walking down the street, they were yelled at, spat at, called spies and traitors and all sorts of horrible things. And they graffitied our businesses, our homes. My father's car had 3 letters written on it in red paint, JAP, simply because we happen to look like the people that bombed Pearl Harbor. We were vilified. And it wasn't just the know-nothings that yelled and graffitied. The government, the city, county, state, and the United States government got swept up in the same hysteria. They categorized us as enemy alien. We were the very opposite of that. We were Americans, not aliens, and we were not the enemy. We were neighbors and business people, and yet the world went crazy, not unlike today, when we have a whole group of acolytes called Republicans that have taken their brains out and given it to one man who is lacking in brains, so he needs all that, but not very bright. And so I come from a world that went crazy. The government came down with a curfew on Japanese Americans. We were Americans who looked like this. We looked just like the people that bombed Pearl Harbor, and so they put a curfew on us. We had to be home by 8 o'clock and stay home until 6 a.m. If you were caught walking around at night, the police picked you up and threw you in jail. They came down with a freezing of our bank accounts. Our money was gone. The government took it. We were economically straitjacketed. And then on February 19th, 1942, the President of the United States, Franklin Delano Roosevelt, a man that my father admired, especially in the 30s, but he signed Executive Order 9066, which ordered all Japanese Americans on the West Coast to be summarily rounded up, no trial, no due process, simply to be rounded up and imprisoned in 10 barbed wire prison camps with no justification other than they categorized us as enemy alien. These prison camps were in some of the most desolate, God-forsaken places in this country. The blistering hot desert of Arizona, the sultry swamps of Arkansas, the cold windswept high plains of Wyoming, Idaho, Utah, Colorado. And we were to be imprisoned there. I still remember that morning. It was in May. My father came into the bedroom that I shared with my brother, younger brother, Henry. I was 5, Henry was 4, and he dressed us hurriedly and told us to play in the living room while he and our mother did some last-minute packing. We had a baby sister, but she was an infant in a cradle in our parents' bedroom. And so, there was nothing to do in the living room, so we were standing by the front window, just gazing out at the neighborhood, when suddenly we saw 2 soldiers marching up our driveway. They carried rifles with shiny bayonets on them. They stomped up the front porch and with their fists began banging on the door. Henry and I were frozen with terror. My father came rushing out of the bedroom, answered the door. One of the soldiers pointed the bayonet at him. I mean, Henry and I just were terrorized and they said, get your family out of this house. This in America against ordinary, innocent people that happened to look like the people that bombed Pearl Harbor. That was the beginning of a horrific period for Americans of Japanese ancestry. And yet, when I was no longer a child, but a teenager curious about the internment, I engaged my father in after-dinner conversations. And I learned about democracy from my father. I realized when I was a little bit older what an extraordinary man my father was, because he was the one that suffered the most. We were transferred from one camp to another, to 3 camps over the 4-year period. And he was elected block manager at each of those camps because he spoke both Japanese and English fluently, and he was able to communicate with the immigrant generation, as well as 2/3 of us were American-born, and we were more comfortable with English. So he played that role of block manager that had to settle problems within the block, as well as represent the needs of the block to the administration, and sometimes get in a confrontational situation. And there was fractionalization within the camp, and he had to deal with those issues. And so he knew not just the larger picture of internment, but all of the conflicts and the terror that the soldiers inflicted upon people. Were dragged out of their barracks in the middle of the night, the women crying and sobbing. And he said, he quoted to me often Abraham Lincoln's that phrase from the Gettysburg Address. Ours is a government of the people, by the people, and for the people. He said, those are noble ideals, but therein also lies the weakness of America, because the people are fallible human beings. And even that great man he admired, Franklin Delano Roosevelt, was a human being. He said he was a great president in the 30s when we were in the depth of a horrific economic depression. Thousands, hundreds of thousands of people were jobless, homeless, hungry, lining up in great long lines for a bowl of soup. And he saw that the spirit of America was broken. He had to galvanize the American people to bring the economy up. And he said to them, there's nothing to fear but fear itself. And that brought the economy up. But when Pearl Harbor was bombed, this great president was filled with fear, because he realized that we were not prepared for an attack at Pearl Harbor. And the entire west coast of the United States was equally open, unprepared, and vulnerable. And this president became fearful and was swept up by the racism and the fear of the American people. And he signed Executive Order 9066. So he said, my father said to me, to teenage me, this is a people's democracy, and each citizen has both the blessings, but as well the responsibility of citizenship. And he urged all 3 of us, his children, to be active, to be involved. And he said, volunteer for whatever needs there may be when earthquake should happen, or typhoon, or other events like that. And so I became a volunteer with the Junior Red Cross. I was elected president of the Junior Red Cross at my middle school. And I went on to run for student body president. and I got elected. And
There you go.
well, thank you.
That's citizenship.
But I learned about the responsibility that we citizens have. And then when the presidential election happened, he took me to the Adlai Stevenson for President campaign headquarters, and I say I volunteered, but it was my father that volunteered me. But I found electoral politics exciting. There was something that appeals to an actor. There was excitement, working together. There was suspense, anticipation, and working in concert. And it's building to a climax. And the climax on election night is either explosive joy and victory or black tragedy. And Adlai Stevenson's campaign was black tragedy. He was a great man, eloquent speaker, and I saw what my father was talking about. But that got me to be a political activist, engaged in other campaigns for U.S. Senator from California, Governor of California, and when our city councilman, the first African-American city councilman in Los Angeles, ran for mayor, we volunteered for his campaign, and we won, and he appointed to the board of the Southern California Rapid Transit District, so it got me more engaged. But it was out of that horrific, chaotic a period of internment, imprisonment, internal struggle, outrage by the soldiers.
Almost betrayal, really, by your own country.
Yes, and that led to my activism. But
So-
it was my father who suffered the most.
So that's interesting because some people are led to citizenship because of positive experiences. Some are led to it by negative or disappointing experiences like your father. But for anybody who was wondering why it is you're coming to a Philadelphia Citizen event to listen to George Takei talk about civic engagement, that was your answer. You come by it honestly. And it's interesting because now, at your age, having had your success, when you put your thumb on a scale, it moves things. But this is the important part that I wanted people to hear, that you started this when you're volunteer on somebody's local campaign or a small, very, very small piece of somebody's bigger campaign. That's the important thing to take away for us in this moment, that you cannot change the world is not relevant. That you will not eat from the fruit of the tree whose seed you plant is not relevant. You do what you must do and what you can do in the time. So you're growing up and you're interested in learning more about the internment, and you found some difficulty in finding good information. Most of us know the broad strokes of the story, but we don't know the texture and the granularity that you bring. So you decided recently, in 2019, to write a book about it, and you deliberately caused it to be a very accessible book. It is a graphic novel, available for sale. And it is a story that, it's so interesting when you tell the story because you really are honoring democracy and politics and civic engagement in the story. But some people who saw your book decided that it was critical of America and that somehow we shouldn't have things that are critical of our history, including the moments that deserve criticism, and then tried to ban your book, which is how we came to talk about it. Exactly. So I want to ask you about that, and I want to ask you about the fact that when I talked to you about the book ban, I referred to the Japanese internment camps. And you said they weren't Japanese internment camps. We weren't interring Japanese people. We were holding Japanese Americans, American citizens, people who were born here or became Americans.
And those camps were in the United States of America. Arizona, Wyoming, Idaho, Utah, Colorado. And American citizens who looked like this were ordered by the President of the United States to be imprisoned. So I tell people, Japanese internment camps were run by Japan. This was an American internment camp. So please get the terminology right.
Right.
We were Japanese Americans, people of Japanese ancestry, imprisoned in American prison camps in America, ordered there by the President of the United States.
An important piece of history that you are not griping about. You just think it's important that people know our history.
Words make a difference.
But you have joined a list of people who have written about our history. And interestingly enough, you're a point of intersection because most of the books banned today in this new round of book banning that we've seen in the last couple of years have largely been about LGBTQ people or by LGBTQ people. And a certain portion of them are about pieces of American history that some people don't want their kids reading. You're both.
1619.
1619, perfect example.
That's when it happened.
Yep.
When it began.
That's how we started our band book club with
Original
Nicole
Sin.
Hannah-Jones. Yeah, the original sin. Yeah,
The original sin of America.
So obviously this didn't catch on. A whole bunch of people didn't decide, oh, we're definitely banning George Takei's book. And the good thing about book bans is it actually sells books. But did that surprise you?
You know, when my book was banned in York, Pennsylvania,
That's
right
right.
here in Pennsylvania, some of these yahoos who have big mouths, went to the library board and yelled and screamed, and the volume of their voice, not the volume or the number of people, yelled and screamed. And alas, a lot of these boards are made up of people that are easily swayed. However, when the word got out that they called us enemy, was banned, bless their hearts, you Star Trek fans out there. Just because I wrote the book, they bought it before the yahoos bought it, or I don't think they even bought it.
No. What we've learned is the book banners don't typically read the books.
No, they don't.
Yours is not, with all due respect, not ban-worthy. It's like, if you find this offensive, then there's just a critical reading
And
problem.
Star Trek fans
Yes.
read books as well.
But this is an interesting concept, the Star Trek fans. Let's go back to that. And it's kind of interesting. You can tell somebody's age when I tell them I'm interviewing George Takei, whether they say Captain Sulu, or Commander Sulu, or Lieutenant Sulu. But there you go. So you can, that's the older people in the crowd applauding. The one interest, I was always fascinated by Star Trek, but the one takeaway here is that Gene Roddenberry and the writing team on Star Trek really thought through, at a time when prejudice remained rampant in the United States, thought through how you identify the other, something we would call alien today. They literally, they thought that through. The first instinct was not enemy. The first instinct was curiosity. The first instinct was, in what way do we communicate with them? What are their norms? Tell me about that and how that merged with your own thinking. Because Star Trek really was a lesson in the fact that it's a big, diverse world out there, and we can flourish in it. We can prosper in it.
Exactly. In fact, Gene Roddenberry thought that the 1960s was a time in America that was great for writers. So much turbulence and drama going on. The civil rights movement, peacefully, African Americans peacefully demonstrating for equality. And law enforcement officers are attacking them with attack dogs or fire hoses. At the same time, there was the Vietnam War going on. And college students who were demonstrating for peace were being attacked by law enforcement officers and taking pot shots at them. And one young man at Kent State was killed by those attacks. So that was a turbulent time, and Gene wanted to write about the drama, but he's writing for
So it was
television.
designed to be a metaphor.
I beg your-
It was designed to be a metaphor.
Exactly. It was metaphor. To put it in the future, the 23rd century, and the Starship Enterprise was a metaphor for Starship Earth. And the strength of the Starship lay in its diversity coming together.
Which is pretty edgy, even for its day.
Exactly. And the captain was a white man played by a Canadian. And the engineer was a European, a Scotsman. Scots are famous for shipbuilding. And he too, the actor, Jimmy Doohan, was a Canadian. And he shared with me, he's getting famous as a Scotsman, but actually, he's Irish.
That's right.
And a Canadian to boot. And Africa, that huge chunk of this planet, was represented by a black person, a female, Nichelle Nichols as Uhura. He had a real quandary with the name for, that's for Nichelle, that huge, vast part of this planet called Asia.
Right.
And Asia in itself has great diversity. And his problem was how to get a name for this Asian character when there's all that diversity. And 20th century Asia was a pretty turbulent place.
Yep.
Warfare, colonization, rebellion, and he didn't want to suggest that. And so he had a map of Asia pinned on the wall, and he was staring at it, and off the coast of the Philippines, he found a place, or a sea called the Sulu Sea, and he thought the waters of a sea touch all shores, and hence my character's name, Sulu. However, since he cast a Japanese American, he gave him a Japanese a first name,
Right.
Surname being Sulu. So, Star Trek had Gene Roddenberry's genius, inventiveness, and his passion for telling timely stories in metaphor.
But because of you and your colleagues, many of us grew up thinking that's how the world could work. And I think that was amazing. Let's talk about something that's worthy of applause. That is definitely, thank you. Let's talk a little bit about something people may not know, because they know you as a gay man now, but they may not have remembered when that happened. It was less than 20 years ago. You were past the point that you had anything to prove to anybody. Tell me about that.
I was closeted most of my adult life because I was an aspiring actor. I passionately wanted to be an actor. But my heartthrob when I was in my teens was a handsome, blonde contract actor at Warner Brothers. Most of you may not recognize the name, Tab Hunter. Some of you do. Handsome guy, wonderful actor, took his shirt off often. and he was the lead in almost every movie coming from Warner Brothers Studios. I saw every one of his films, Damn Yankee, Battle Cry. But one of the scandal sheets exposed him as being gay. And suddenly, he disappeared. That was a lesson for me. If I wanted to be an actor, a professional actor, I cannot let it be known that I'm gay. And I was pretty good at being closeted because from the time I was a child, I was imprisoned for being different. And as I got older, I discovered that I am different. I'm attracted to other boys, athletic boys, pretty boys. And if I let it be too obvious, I can't aspire to an acting career. But I'm an actor. So in middle school when one of our classmates named Monica prematurely was blossoming forth in full womanhood, they would all get hot and bothered, my buddies, Oh, wow, Monica's hot. I thought Monica was nice. But I saw that that's not the way the other guys are acting. So I joined in. Wow, Monica is. And so I acted my way through most of my adult life as a closeted gay guy. And it wasn't until, and being closeted isn't just the compressed life that you have, but there's guilt. Because here I am protecting my career and my job opportunities when, after Stonewall, the gay liberation movement began, and these guys were giving up so much, their jobs, their careers, their opportunities, and some lost even their families, and they were campaigning for my issue that I'm keeping my mouth. There I was, active in the civil rights movement and peace movement during the Vietnam War, and they're doing it for me. And if I'm an activist, I should be there, and I'm not. And it fills you with guilt. And so it's a combination of guilt as an activist and keeping my mouth shut when I want to be out there. But they were starting to make an impact as the calendar marched on. And in 2003, Massachusetts got marriage equality via their Supreme Court. And 2 years later, in California, our legislature, the state legislature, the state senate and the state assembly passed the marriage equality bill. Brad and I were overjoyed. We thought, it's happening. We're going to be bookends, Massachusetts on the East Coast and California on the West Coast. And that bill needed one more signature, that of the governor of our state, who happened to be a movie star at that time, Arnold Schwarzenegger. When he campaigned for the governor's office, he campaigned by saying, I'm from Hollywood. I've worked with gays and lesbians. Some of my friends are, and created the impression that he was okay with marriage equality for LGBTQ people. And a few of our gay friends did vote for him. And we respected their right to, vote the way they wanted to. But when the marriage equality bill landed on his desk, he vetoed it, and we were raging. But Brad and I were at home watching the news, and we saw young people pouring out onto Santa Monica Boulevard. And I said, it's time. And that's when I came out and spoke to the press as a gay man and blasted Schwarzenegger's veto.
That is the moment we'll stop at, because it just underscores the point. It's never too early, it's never too late to be an engaged citizen. You were a hero to us all those years on TV. You remain a hero to me. It's an honor. I wish we had 3 times as much time, but we will just keep...
You're my hero too.
Thanks, my friend.
Ali, I'm a fan.
Ladies and gentlemen, George Takei. And with that, our awards will commence.
It's almost 10 years since my father's passing, and I was asked if our family would be okay if they named the Citizen of the Year award after my dad. Well, I can tell you I was beyond moved. You see, my dad touched so many lives, and keeping his spirit and legacy alive through this incredible honor has a lot of meaning to me and my family. So if you'll indulge me for 1 minute, because I was asked to speak about my dad and the namesake of this award, I'll share with you a little bit about him. He's all the things that they said in the program. He was a self-made businessman, a proud Temple alum, a lawyer, a philanthropist, a civic force, a newspaper publisher who bought the Philadelphia Inquirer at the end of his life with Jerry Lenfest for the purpose of saving local journalism for and in Philadelphia. He was a sports team owner, a political benefactor, and somebody who brought joy and staggering compassion and generosity to those less fortunate. In the end, my dad was really somebody who conjured up experiences and great memories for those that didn't have. And he spent his life, his adult life, trying to level the playing field for everyone. My dad lived his life by the motto of his favorite quote, that you can't live a perfect day unless you do something for someone else that can never repay you. My father lived many, many perfect days. There could be no finer honoree for this award than Mike Innocenzo, President and CEO of PICO. Under Mike's leadership, the Philadelphia-based energy company has thrived, had nearly $4 billion in revenue last year. For the past few years, Mike's been the chairman of the board of the Greater Philadelphia Chamber of Commerce. But the difference this man has made as the organizer of the Civic Coalition to Save Lives has been nothing short of extraordinary. The initiative has brought together more than 90 businesses, philanthropic and civic organizations to partner with the city of Philadelphia to address the most important issue of gun violence. He is a gem for our city. He is a man of enormous interpersonal integrity. He is a man that we all look up to. Thank you, Mike, for your vision, your commitment to make a difference, and your trailblazing efforts. Congratulations on this well-deserved recognition. Please join me in giving a great round of applause for the first ever Lewis Katz Corporate Citizen of the Year Award winner, Mike Innocenzo.
Thank you, Drew. It really, I can't tell you what an honor it is to have you here to present this award, and how unbelievably humbling it is to accept the award in the name of such a remarkable individual as your father. Lewis Katz was deeply revered and respected by all. His leadership as a businessman and wavering commitment to our communities and philanthropic endeavors are simply unforgettable and have left a mark on our city. And he's created an example for all of us to strive to be. And as I look around the room tonight, it's really a privilege to be among so many of us in this room who strive to be like him and are dedicated to making the greater Philadelphia region a better place. That includes my colleagues at PICO, who I'm very proud to be here with, our community partners, and particularly members of the Civic Coalition to Save Lives, who I'd like to personally thank for being here tonight. Corporate citizenship is one of the single most important things that we can do as a business community to improve the quality of life throughout our region. And at PICO, we know that it's our role to do more than just keep the lights on and keep the gas flowing. It's that belief that drives us and drives our collective passion for giving back. Powering our communities, which we often say, also means empowering our communities and our customers. And we simply can't do that if our customers and communities do not feel safe. And it was in the face of this and in the face of a record number of homicides in 2021 that many of the city's community's leaders, business, government leaders came together to form this unprecedented coalition. Together we established the Civic Coalition to Save Lives between leaders, many of who are in this room, Philadelphia Foundation and William Penn Foundations, Pedro Ramos and Sean McCaney, and Ted Qualley. Thank you. The Equity Alliance, who is here at the table, and I want to thank Ryan and Michael, who are going to be honored here later tonight. The Chamber of Commerce Chair for Greater Philadelphia, Board Chair at that time, Sue Jacobson, Brett Perkins of Comcast, PICO, IBX, Charmaine Matlock Turner of the Urban Affairs Coalition, the Mayor's Office. You get the point. There's a lot of folks that were involved in this. And today over 100 entities are involved in this coalition. And I would especially like to recognize our director, Estelle Richmond. Estelle Richmond has been the director of the coalition for the past 2 years. She is an incredible leader, an incredible thought leader, an incredible heart leader. She is not very good at retiring. But we thank you so much for your selflessness. The coalition is built on and built to support decades of work that was conducted in our city of Philadelphia and other regions in order to be a catalyst for change. And at the end of the day, we're really here to just help the work that's being done out in the street. And since our inception, we are making progress. As many of you saw, Philadelphia's homicide rate is down. We're down 26% since our peak and 19% over last year. But the sobering fact is that's off of a record high number. But as I've said before, and I said before to many in the chamber, we can all agree that one life lost is too many. But if one life lost is too many, then one life saved should be worth our collective efforts. And that's what we're really trying to do. So, just in closing, I would really like to thank everyone here for this honor. It means a lot. And I think our real message from the coalition is we never were under the impression that we had all the answers. But we also know that as a corporate community and as a civic community, we couldn't sit on the sidelines, and we had to join the fight. And we have a long way to go, but we're excited about the new administration and about the work that we'll continue to do. So I just want to thank everyone for being here. Thank all of you for your leadership. Special thank to my wife, Susan, who is here. For over 30 years, she has been my partner, my guide. She has been an unpaid PICO employee for 30 years, so I think I owe a little bit of back pay. But again, to all of you here in the room, I think Larry, Roxanne, the folks at the Citizen, all of you here in the room, the idea of making a difference and putting in the effort to do something different in the city is something that I'm inspired by, and I know that we all strive to be. So thank you all.
So this evening, it is with great pleasure that I present the Youth Leader of the Year Award to an extraordinary individual. This person's journey to becoming our first ever youth leader is marked by an unwavering commitment to community service. During the summer of the pandemic, she volunteered to distribute over 250 meals a day, which is impressive. Her involvement with organizations, yes. Her involvement with organizations like 215 People's Alliance, Juntos, and PA Youth Vote showcases her dedication to advocacy and empowering others. Now her impact goes beyond her community as she continues her academic journey at the University of Pennsylvania on a full scholarship. She's a true inspiration, embodying the qualities of leadership, humility, kindness, and most importantly, good citizenship, which is what we're all here to celebrate today. So let us applaud Sarahi Franco Morales for her outstanding achievements and the profound difference she has made, is making, and is going to make in the city of Philadelphia. Congratulations.
Thank you so much. Wow. The song I chose is called Hasta la Raíz, To the Roots, and it's by a Mexican artist called Natalia Lafourcade, and she made it to discuss the importance of remembering your roots and your origins as you grow, as you change, as you move, and that message resonated with me. I get to be here. I get to, the reason I'm here is because I was able to connect to my roots, to my passion, the love I have for my community, an example given to me by my parents. They showed me the beauty of caring for others. They showed me that happiness isn't measured with money, but by the people around you. And I'm so thankful because Philadelphia has showed me, it's allowed me to meet beautiful people. It's given me the opportunity to become a better person as well. I'm so grateful to my mom. Te amo. Thank you for being here. Gracias. They mean everything to me. And again, I am happy to continue serving Philadelphia. I love this city, and I'm really excited for everything that's to come. Thank you so much.
Good evening. Larry and Roxanne and Jessica and the entire Philadelphia Citizen team, was really honored to be asked to be a part of this. And I mean, as much as I would have been excited to be able to give out any of the awards, having run for office a few times, the opportunity to give the Block Captain of the Year award. I do my best not to speak for the other elected officials, but I feel very confident that there's not one elected official in this room or in this city who would ever dispute that the most important elected office in this city is to be a block captain on your own street. Michelle Belzer has been a block captain in her Melrose Park Gardens neighborhood for more than 15 years. That's longer than I was in city council, and it's longer than I was mayor. She must be really, really good at elections. She is so committed to making her neighborhood and seeing that her neighbors are registered to vote and that they get out there and do so, that her block and her district have the highest voter turnout in the city of Philadelphia. She led her neighborhood to second place in the city's clean block competition. She's a fierce public safety advocate as well, insisting on safer streets via paving and traffic calming measures. And she was honored by our city council as, quote, a hero of the 9th Council District in an official resolution. Ladies and gentlemen, please meet and welcome to the stage the most important elected official in the room, Michelle Belzer, Block Captain of the Year.
Good evening, everyone. I would like to thank everyone for this award. I would like to thank the 100 block of East Colonial Street for their support. I also would like to thank all the city officials. When I call, they're there. So I would like to thank everyone in this room for just being here to support a little block captain like me. I appreciate all that you have done, and I'm looking forward to working hard to keep this city on track and keep it clean and keep it safe. There's a lot to do, but it starts with me and everyone in this room. So I thank you all, and I love the city of Philadelphia, and I will be here to eternity. So thank you, thank you, thank you, and I'm proud to be here. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Wonderful, wonderful evening in our lovely city, city of brotherly love and sisterly affection. The next award is in honor of George Higginbotham, a truly remarkable individual who I had the pleasure of knowing, an individual that fought mightily over 30 years in federal judicial positions for something very simple, the concept of justice and the concept of the rule of law. The Citizen ran a wonderful series of articles about George Higginbotham and also supported with University of Pennsylvania Carey Law School a mural of the good George in West Philadelphia, which is gorgeous. But as part of that program, it was also thought that an appropriate award should be given in honor of George Higginbotham. There are many, many things that George Higginbotham did. He got over 60 honorary doctorates from universities all over the world. He was involved in the anti-apartheid movement in South Africa and the eventual constitution that came out of that. But one of the things that he always stood for was a very powerful proposition, which is that every single one of us is a moral agent. We make moral decisions every day, and that we should take that as a responsibility. In that context, I'm very, very pleased to announce that the first winner of George Higginbotham's award is a fellow colleague of mine at the Penn Carey Law School on the faculty. Mr. Holbrook, Robert Salim Holbrook, is executive director of the Abolitionist Law Center and lecturer in community lawyering to prevent mass incarceration at the University of Pennsylvania Carey Law School. He spent 27 years in prison. A pretty unique experience for most people in this room, including 10 of those years in solitary confinement for a crime he committed when he was 16 years old. That is 1-6. He was released in 2018 after the US Supreme Court ruled that life sentences for minors were unconstitutional. Since then, he's become an advocate for human rights. He recently testified in Geneva before the United Nations Human Rights Committee, and he is a fierce proponent of abolition, challenging our legal system and the money institutions that fail to serve citizens. Please join me in welcoming Robert Salim Holbrook.
Thank you. Penn is representing in the house tonight. You know, in the 50 years that I've been on this planet, I've been faced with a lot of decisions. 27 years in prison, 10 of those years in solitary confinement. But I'll be straight, the thing that has really given me some of the greatest anxiety was figuring out which song to pick when I walked up here. Like, seriously. Yeah, I didn't know what to give y'all. You know, the morning commute. I didn't know if to give y'all the hip hop, the strip club. I didn't really know what to give you. You know, baby, I don't go to strip clubs, so for real. No, but I chose that song because when I was told that I was going to be released from prison after 27 years in prison, I didn't really know what I was coming back to. So I kept listening to that song over and over again because that was in the environment that I was in, an environment that was a hatred environment, a very miserable environment. So I was expecting that when I came home, that's what I was going to face. So I wanted to prepare myself because when you go into prison at 16 years old, you live to prepare yourself day by day for what the day is going to bring, for the next struggle, for the next fight, for the next challenge. And coming home, I really found that, man, I really picked the wrong song. I came back to a city, to a neighborhood, to a community, to a family that embraced me. And it's something that I really appreciated because I don't do this work for validation, but it does feel good to be appreciated. And also as someone who caused so much harm, so much destruction, you know, when I was a kid, to be up here today accepting a social justice award transformation really is vindication for my family, for my late mother, coming up in a home that was a fierce anti-apartheid home, and getting this award named after Judge Higginbotham, someone who came into the judicial system in the 70s and was breaking down American apartheid. He was transcending and breaking down segregation and the exclusion of African American judges really felt good. I can honestly say that, you know, when I look at the world today, I really can't say that I have much hope, much optimism. When I look at what's going on in Gaza, when I look at the state of this country, I often go to sleep at night wondering if this world is even worth fighting for. But what I can tell you is that I believe that Philadelphia is worth fighting for. And that's what keeps me going when I wake up every day to fight for this city, the people in it. My sister, you know, who's at the table, who helped bring me home from prison, is someone that, you know, I really appreciate. My partner who puts up with me working 16, sometimes 18-hour days, someone I appreciate. The neighborhood that has embraced me, the community that has embraced me. There's many people in this room that are also responsible for my freedom. Kenyatta Johnson, I remember when I was in prison, you know, you were a lot younger, you know, but I remember, you know, close to 10, 13 years ago, you were one of the first people that put a bill in to calling for the release of children who were formerly incarcerated, and I'll never forget that. You know, Senator Street was here, someone who is fighting for the bills now to provide second chances to people. So, you know, this city is worth fighting for, and I just really appreciate this award and want to thank everyone for giving me this opportunity. Thank you.
Good evening. So I have the privilege of spending my days finding and telling the stories of powerful, ride or die, committed educators. Our job is to find those who are doing magnificent work. There are hidden heroes, and more importantly, their backup band are young people who are telling their stories every day. So I am thrilled to present the Educator of the Year Award to a bright light in our city, Indy Shom. So like a good educator, you have multiple skills. You are a teacher by day. Indy is a musician. He's a designer. He's a media arts expert. He and his partners developed a groundbreaking program at the Vision Futures Lab, paving the way for students at Dobbins High School to create groundbreaking projects like a feature-length documentary investigating the root causes of violence and community peace garden that could also supply culinary and cosmetic products to students in their community. He recently left the district, and I'd like to note he served in the district for many years, but he recently left the district to form the Philadelphia Orchard Project, where he continues to work for a better city and a society for all. Please join me in celebrating our Educator of the Year, Indy Shum.
Hey everyone, thank you. Just real quick, I didn't form the Philadelphia Orchard Project, but I did join it. So firstly, thank you for recognizing the students' work. By its nature, media work is visible, so I just want to take a moment to acknowledge the countless educators out there grinding day after day against the machine without the recognition. And our future depends on their success, so please support teachers everywhere and sensible and accessible education for all. On that note, growing up in other countries, there are two things that I feel I have to represent. I'm going to try and be as brief as I can, and to that end, I'm going to read. When you grow up seeing systems that work for people, even without a lot of money or resources in the society, it makes it very clear when systems are designed to not. There's a straight line between American urban public education and the disaster we're facing as a species. This is the belly of the beast, everyone. It really is. We've got an economic, political, military stranglehold on the world, and if the kids in this country had access to the education that they deserve, the entire world order would collapse in the most wonderful way. So when my students ask me, what is an Indian kid who grew up in China doing in a public school in North Philly, the answer is, after seeing a lot of the world, I've been to dozens of countries, grew up in speaking multiple languages, the answer is that after seeing all of that, and kind of having the choice to make my home anywhere in the world, it's pretty clear to me that these guys are the best chance that we have as a species, right? We've got to do it here in Philadelphia. We have a lot of problems, but that's what is our power. That means we know what the issue is. And unlike where I'm from or many other cities in the world, we actually have resources. So kids where I'm from, as a kid in the back in the day, we're relying on us to let these guys take their country back, right? And maybe save the world after that. And the last thing I want to say on that is that on the topic of being celebratory and making sure we're not giving too much bad news here, the reason that kids in Philadelphia are held down in the way they are is because they're that powerful, right? That's an important piece. Every day, I hear kids from, if you've been even inside, but everywhere, being told that they're worth nothing, that they can't do anything. The reality is that so much effort goes into keeping them down because they are actually the key to the future. So please, do everything you can to support them and reflect on who we are as a city and do what we can as a species. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. It was 2020, and the pandemic put a spotlight on the inequities in our country, and especially in Philadelphia. Then followed by the murder of George Floyd and the ensuing protests. And there were a lot of issues happening in our city. And two men who could have put their head in the sands got together, two men from very different professions, from different races, different backgrounds, got together and started a group. The group was the Philadelphia Equity Alliance. They gathered leaders on Saturday mornings, very early on Saturday mornings, leaders from across the city, business leaders, clergy, civic organization, labor, government. We gathered, and it started sort of very organically, just getting together and having real conversations, being able to talk about things that people in Philadelphia hadn't talked about openly, really putting a spotlight on the inequity in our city. And it really grew from this sort of casual conversation on Saturday mornings to what I think is a disruptive force, focusing on poverty, health equity, gun violence, education, the arts, and the list goes on. And I think during the process, these two men were only not allies, but also became friends. So I can think of no better two citizens than Ryan Boyer, business manager of the Building Trades Council, and Michael Foreman, chairman and CEO of FS Investments, to receive the Disruptors of the Year award.
Thank you, Madeline. And I'm here solo. Ryan is celebrating a special birthday with his wife and is in Jamaica. So I'm going to do it for both of us. So first of all, I want to thank Larry and Roxanne and all the great things that the Philadelphia Citizen does. We are a much better city as a result of all of the work, all the engagement of Roxanne, Larry, and their team. So thank you, guys. Next, I want to thank some of our elected officials for being here, our new council president. I heard Sharif is in the house as well, so thank you for being here and for all you do for the city of Philadelphia. I want to congratulate all of the honorees. And what Robert said kind of stuck with me. We're here because we love this city. We love Philadelphia. We haven't given up on the dream that Philadelphia can be a great city. We started the Equity Alliance, as Madeline alluded to, in 2020 after the murder of George Floyd. It was a deep, dark time. If you remember, there were riots in the street. Buildings were on fire. Madeline and I and John Fry, who's here, Mike Gerber, my colleague, and Ryan got together and started thinking about how we can evolve from this, how we can address some of the structural issues we have in Philadelphia. 1 in 6 people in Philadelphia are subject to food insecurity. 37% of the children born in this city are born into poverty. 19% of the people that live in this city live in extreme poverty. That is not acceptable, and it's something that we need to change. Ryan and I came together in our partnership, and it's an interesting partnership. I'm a CEO of an asset management business. Ryan is the head of the building trades. We're an unlikely partners, but we came together with the vision of trying to make Philadelphia the most equitable city, trying to address some of the structural issues that have plagued this city for decades and decades and decades. And we will not give up until we do that. And as Madeline said, we need to focus on food insecurity. We need to focus on creating black and brown jobs. We need to focus on fostering black and brown businesses. We need to deal with gun violence. And we talked a little bit, Mike talked about the gun violence issue that Pedro and Mike and others have led. We need to really look at new ways to solve the issues that plague this city. So there's many folks here from FS. I want to thank them for being here and all their support. I want to thank my wife. I'm nothing, as anybody who knows me, I'm nothing without my wife, so thank you for everything you do. My middle daughter, Lila, is here with us as well. All my colleagues at the Equity Alliance and the Saturday Morning Group, we give now one Saturday a month to the city. We give our time, we give our resources to try to make this city the most equitable city, to try to change the issues that have plagued this city for years and years. And Ryan and I won't stop until we do so. So thank you for this award, and thank you for being here.
Good evening, everyone. Now this evening, this is a celebration. Good evening, everyone. You know, I'm Baptist, so I'm used to call and response, and so a little bit of energy inside this room as we celebrate some great citizens here in the city of Philadelphia. I want to take a moment to ask everyone to give Larry Platt and Roxanne a real big round of applause for hosting such a great event and really making it a priority to celebrate and give flowers to individuals who are working day in and day out to make this city of Philadelphia great. I would be remiss if I didn't acknowledge a good friend of mine, a gentleman who kind of took me under his wing and always gave me some great advice as a young politician, and I want to acknowledge our former mayor, Michael Nutter. Please give him a round of applause. Smart guy. And I ask everyone to give all the honorees this evening a real big round of applause, please. This evening I have the great opportunity to present 3 special Philadelphians the Citizens of the Year Award. The first gentleman is Mr. Paul Levy, the former Chief Executive Officer and President of the Center City District. Let's give him a real big round of applause. Paul founded the Center City District in January of 1991. The Center City District is the $30.5 million Center City Management District that provides security, cleaning, place marketing, and planning services, as well as streetscape and park improvements for the Central Business District of Philadelphia. And so for me, it was truly an honor when I had this opportunity to come this evening to present this award to Mr. Levy, primarily because separate from him running an organization that's focusing on improving the quality of life of Center City, Paul has always come to City Council challenging us to find ways to make sure we're doing a better job in supporting our business community so that we can invest and, most importantly, recruit businesses to come to the city of Philadelphia as a key way for us to provide jobs and, most importantly, address the issue of poverty here in the city of Philadelphia. If we're going to ever erase the stigma of being the #1 big city in America that represents poverty, the only way we're going to address it is by working toward bringing businesses here to the city of Philadelphia so we can become the #1 big city when it comes to economic growth and development, and most importantly, as members of City Council, making sure we have a tax structure that supports our business community. And so, exactly, and so Paul, I just want to personally just say thank you and say congratulations for being the Citizen of the Year. Come on up, Mr. Levy.
Really a pleasure, and it's an honor to be here with our new council president. Please give him another round of applause. Thank you. You know, I'm really delighted and honored to accept this award, I think, for 3 reasons tonight. One, I want to thank the Philadelphia Citizen for keeping the focus on good journalism, on good government, and a competitive and growing and inclusive economy. 2, it's really an honor to be recognized alongside of many established leaders who I know and consider colleagues and friends, Mike Innocenzo, Michael Foreman, Ryan Boyer, who's not here tonight, and Sister Mary, who you will see in just a moment. But it's also a delight to sit here and learn about a series of up-and-coming neighborhood and educational leaders who I do not know, that many of us do not know, but I think we'll hear a lot more about them in the coming years. So congratulations to you. But third, I'm really honored to accept this award in a room with George Takei. As I told him, he will always for me be Lieutenant Zulu, because I watched every day, every afternoon in 1969 and 1970, in the original Star Trek series on TV, when I was supposed to be studying as a graduate student at Columbia University. But from Star Trek, I learned one of the most important lessons even with a split infinitive, to boldly go where no man has gone before. That's the imperative we learned from. So thank you very much for that. I also want to thank and acknowledge my wife, Carrie Rickey, for her love and support. Many of you may know her as the film critic for The Inquirer. And Ali, since you took the chance to promote George's book, I wanted to tell you that Carrie will have a book coming out in August and September. It's not on sale yet tonight, but thank you. Let me just tell one quick CCD anecdote, because the organization was really the vision of Ron Rubin, the late developer, who really recognized at a time when Center City had the reputation of being dirty, dangerous a place. It was a place that was empty at night and on the verge of bankruptcy, that the business community needed to step forward, that it needed to work in partnership with the city and to put their money where their mouth was, to make the downtown clean and safe and attractive. And Ron was one of those rare business leaders, there's some here tonight as well, who pursued his own business self-interest, but also had a broader civic-minded interest and recognized that his business could not succeed unless the entire city succeeded. And he rallied around him a whole series of other business leaders. And as you know, between 1990 and 2020, many people in this room were part of the process of really revitalizing and bringing back Center City. Now, in September of 2020, when we first brought our staff in the office back, we'd kept all our on-street staff on the street through the entire pandemic, but we brought our staff back to our office in August and September. And I looked around the room and I said to everybody, we know what to do. At this moment, it's 1990 all over again. What we have to do is double down on the basics of clean and safe and make Center City a place where people want to come to again. And then I looked around the room again and I realized that half the people in that room weren't even born in 1990 or only in first grade. But the lesson is really simple, and it's a lesson we heard from George tonight too. In times of challenge and hardship, leaders need to step forward. They need to step beyond their self-interest, but we need to remember both the strengths and the failures of the past. They need to step forward to focus on the basics, but also do those things that lift people's spirits. So we have a new mayor now who really understands exactly that, the basics and lifting people's spirits. And so I think it's time for business, for labor, and for civic leaders to come together in a strong partnership with local government to rebuild the vitality and the economy of the city, to restore the jobs that were lost and we continue to lose as too many people work remotely. We've done it before. We can do it again. We need to do it again. Thank you very much for this opportunity.
The next Lifetime Achievement Awards go to two remarkable Philadelphians, Sister Mary Scullin and Joan Dawson McConnon of Project Home. The duo started the organization in a locker room of a swimming pool back in 1989. Project Home is now a nationally recognized organization that provides supportive housing, employment, education, and health care to enable chronically homeless and low-income people to break the cycle of homelessness and poverty. Under their leadership, Project Homes has grown from an emergency winter shelter to more than 1,000 units of housing, 3 social enterprises, the Heineken Learning Center, Comcast Technology Labs, and the Stephen Klein Wellness Center. They're going to transition out of their day-to-day roles with Project Home starting in December 31st of this year, but they have left an amazing legacy for our city. And for me, this is a very special opportunity to present this awards based upon every morning. I take my 2 sons, Isaiah Mandela and Elijah Kwame, to school, and I teach them to pray for the homeless, that they have food, clothing, and shelter. And oftentimes, my wife and I will go to Center City, right? And we will also tell our young people about the importance, our children, about the importance when we do see homeless people out in the streets of trying to be supportive and making sure that in their lifetime that they're doing everything that they can do possibly to help those most in need. Because you know, a lot of times when you reach a certain level, children become spoiled, and you give them a whole bunch of things, but you have to let them know that at the end of the day, there are other people out there who are struggling. So when we have a household, you can't just throw food in the trash, right? Because there's someone out there who could actually benefit from that actual plate of food that you're throwing away. And so to Miss Mary Scullin as well as Miss Joan Dawson McConnell, I just want to personally say, just thank you for your hard work and your dedication for fighting for those who definitely need support here in this great city of Philadelphia. And I present the two of you with these Lifetime Achievement Awards. Let's give them a real big round of applause.
Thank you so much, Council President Kenyatta Johnson, not only for that generous introduction, but also for your commitment, because it truly is the power of we. For a minute there, I was a little afraid that Paul was stealing our walk-up song, John Bon Jovi. Come on, Paul, come on. Okay. But anyway, it's really an honor to be here with you tonight and with all the honorees. It's very humbling. At the core of what it means to be a citizen is to understand that you're not an isolated individual, but you're a member of a great community. And that your destiny, your possibilities, and your accomplishments are bound up in the people who are part of that community. So really, this honor is for all of you as well. This award is very gratifying and humbling. It speaks to a central part of the history of Project Home, and that is that any success or accomplishment that's been achieved is the result of a broad community of people from all walks of life, from those who have experienced homelessness to those who are in some of the highest positions of power. Not only are the two of us profoundly grateful to have the best jobs in the world and to work with the greatest people in the world, and many of them are here tonight. And I'd like to recognize the Project Home table, Cheryl Hill, Candace Player, Annette Jeffrey, Robert Smith, and Marquise Williams, as well as our trustees, Marissa Humphreys from PICO, Estelle Richmond, an amazing leader, and Amy Riley from the Conley Foundation, and maybe Jesse I, too, from the Foreman Family Office. But we've also been blessed beyond measure to work with and partner with transformational leaders who resonate with the vision that none of us are home until all of us are home. We have enormous gratitude for leaders in both the public and the private sectors who invest in solutions that save lives and bring hope and opportunity. We are continuously inspired by the many people who bring their time, energy, talents, and gifts to be part of the solution because they believe, as you believe, in human dignity and a commitment to building a just and compassionate society. You make us believe that that is possible.
Most of all, we're grateful for how we've both been transformed by the members of the Project Home community. We are continually amazed to witness persons who've experienced unimaginable struggles thrive when they're provided the opportunity and a place to heal. They teach us every day about the power of the human spirit. They are the living signposts of the beloved community, which Dr. King challenged us to live and nurture. A community where everyone is seen, where everyone is valued, where everyone is offered the opportunity to belong and to grow. A community that embraces each person in their struggles and in their gifts. a community that believes there are no throwaway people. It is by participating in such a community that we come to the fullness of ourselves. And it is through the beloved community that we are infused with the unquenchable hope and the unwavering belief that we can end chronic street homelessness in our beloved city. So thank you so very much for the acknowledgement of the work of this amazing community we know as Project Home. Thank you.
The fact that I'm alive because of a repurposed drug, I got to marry the love of my life, and a lot of patients can't.
We are back with the story of a young doctor diagnosed with a rare disease, and with little hope for a cure in his lifetime, he set out to find one himself.
I said goodbye to my family and friends in November of 2010. I had my last rites read to me.
I just wanted to be with him. I didn't care that he was sick, no matter how much time we had.
I thought that a drug that had never been used for Castleman's before, called sirolimus, might work. And I decided to try it on myself.
I am so excited to share that I just crossed 10 years in remission.
A new nonprofit aims to identify generic drugs that could help people with rare diseases. It's called Every Cure.
And I thought that's so fascinating. A drug that caused real damage in one situation could be incredibly efficacious in another.
13 years ago when I was in ICU at Penn just down the street having my last rites read to me, if you said 13 years from now you'll be alive, I would have said, oh my gosh, I'm married to Caitlin and the two beautiful children we have, and now to be able to have an impact beyond just myself, it really feels like a dream.
We all would like to be able to fix ourselves, but he had the ability.
So we had a lot of internal debates about what is a citizen, how do we come up with the Citizen of the Year? And what it came down to is who is not asking for permission? Who is solving problems and doing it whether circumstance demands? In David's case, he solved his own problem, and then he decided to solve everyone else's with this nonprofit that President Clinton was just talking about. So for us, at the end, after much back and forth, it was sort of a no-brainer, because what David has done is demonstrate citizenship of the highest order. He hasn't waited for permission, and more importantly, he's giving back to humanity in the most forceful of ways.
So we are very honored to give our inaugural Citizen of the Year award to Dr. David Feigenbaum.
Thank you all so much for that incredible reception, and thank you so much for this incredible honor. 13 years ago, I said goodbye to my family and my friends just down the street at the University of Pennsylvania. I nearly died 4 more times. As I laid in the hospital bed, I dreamed of finding a drug that could maybe one day save my life so I could marry Caitlin and unlock more cures for more patients waiting for drugs in memory of my mom. But I never could have dreamed of what we've been able to achieve. Repurposing a drug that has saved my life, and 16 more treatments that have saved thousands more. And none of this would have been possible in any city other than the city of Philadelphia. So tonight I want to thank Philadelphia for three things. First and foremost, I want to thank Philadelphia for my incredible wife, Caitlin. Born and raised here by her amazing parents, Bernie and Patty, and her incredible brother, Michael, she took on the grittiness, focus on family, and underdog traits that this city fosters. You've been beside me through so many ups and downs and believed in me when I didn't believe in myself. And now we have the two sweetest kids in the whole world who have the two most incredible grandparents in the whole world. Bernie may be a great general manager at 6ABC, but I think he's an even better father and grandfather to our kids. And Patty, I am so lucky to have you as my mother-in-law, to have you as Caitlin's incredible mother, our grandmother to our children, CDCN volunteer. You have just been so special to all of us. I was also so lucky to have two amazing parents of my own, including my dad, who taught me so much about the importance of hard work, and my mom, who passed away from cancer 20 years ago, but to this day continues to inspire me to live like her. She taught me that we shouldn't just look to find silver linings in the midst of difficult times. We should look to create silver linings. No matter how low things have been over the years, me and my sisters are always looking for ways to create something positive in the midst of the storm. There are also so many friends who are like family to me that I want to thank, like Ben, Ryan, and Pete, who are here with me tonight, and have literally never missed a phone call, an opportunity to visit me in the hospital, or anything else that I've ever asked for them. And Grant Mitchell, who isn't here tonight because he's at an event raising funds for Every Cure, the nonprofit that we started, which is exactly where he should be. And second, I want to thank Philly for all the incredible teammates and colleagues that have fought beside me. My book is called Chasing My Cure, but we should have called it Chasing Our Cures, because it's been such an incredible team effort right here in Philadelphia, working together to contribute to this fight to chase cures for Castleman's and so many other diseases. Scientists and colleagues like Sheila, Mary, Tracy, Mike, Melanie, Sally, and Amber, and advisors like Marjorie and Catherine, Ryan, Tony, and AJ, who have rolled up their sleeves to fight back over these last 10 years. And third, I want to thank Philly for the ecosystem of innovation and the incredible university that I've had the honor of being a part of for the last 16 years. For me, it all starts with my incredible mentor, Arthur Rubenstein, who is Dean of Penn Medicine for 10 years, and I've been so honored to consider him my mentor for the last 12. I've learned so much from him during our weekly meetings for the last 12 years. During one of our first meetings, he said the secret to success was to set a clear vision, to build a great team, and work harder than anyone else, and have fun too. And that is the best advice I ever received. I've had the incredible fortune of trying to put some of those principles into action as I've worked with collaborative partners like Ricordati Rare Disease, Alicia Vitarelli at 6ABC, and collaborators at Penn like Taku, Yvonne, Dan, and Josh, who are all here tonight. And I'm so thankful for all the funders who have supported our work. For every dollar that we've raised from individuals, we've been able to raise an additional $7 from external sources. In closing, I never could have imagined all that has happened in the last 10 years, and it would not have been possible anywhere else in the world but Philadelphia. With the team that we have and the city that we live in, here's to the next 10 years where we go from saving thousands of lives around the world to saving millions. I hope you all will join us. Thank you so, so much.
So that concludes the awards part of our evening, but I think it's safe to say that we have some pretty kick-ass Philadelphians. So let's give another round of applause to all the people we honored tonight. But also, just take a look around this room. This is a room of people who are kind of amazing, and this may be my new favorite night of the year. We do a lot of great things at the Citizen, but this may be my new favorite night. There were some really spectacular lines that all of you winners said, so good job on writing the speeches. I will say that the star of the show, Philadelphia, which is pretty great.
So that's the end of our awards, but stick around. I think we have room for like another hour. So and the bar is open, and everyone's going to get a copy of David's book. Let's party.
Also, there's dessert still coming, so don't worry, you still have dessert. And I actually just want to read maybe the favorite line of the night, which Michelle Belzer said, which is, "I love Philadelphia and will be here for eternity." That is the next T-shirt that should be made.